Okay, so today we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish our great kombucha experiment. Here we have our SCOBY. It stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. And here's our leftover kombucha that was in the bottom of the jar for making our SCOBY. In part one of this, you'll remember that we started making our SCOBY, back in January, and it's now towards the end of March. So it takes a long time, but you can see it's nice and thick. It's a very healthy SCOBY, and we made it at home, and it had its own bedroom, and we kept it in a dark closet. So now we're ready to make some kombucha tea. So the first thing we're going to do, so we're going to slide over here. You're going to need a great big glass jar, no plastic, because plastic just there's flavors that get into your kombucha if you use plastic. So I went to Walmart. I got this great big gallon-sized jug. I think it was like $7. So very, very doable. And then here in a second, we're going to go ahead and make our tea. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to remember is you have to use distilled water. You can't use tap water. You can use, a lot of people use spring water for drink, natural spring water. That's fine. Just not tap water out of your faucet, because there's fluoride, there's all kinds of chemicals in there, and it actually is not good for your SCOBY. And your SCOBY, you want to keep that as healthy as possible, because honestly, it takes forever to make one. So anyway, so you're going to get a gallon of distilled water. Next, you're going to want 8 tea bags, and I like the green tea. I make sure I get 100% natural, organic. Walmart carries it, as you can tell. It's great value. It's not that expensive that way. If you like a stronger flavor, you can use the black regular teas, or you can use the green teas if you like a medium taste. If you want a lighter taste, go with your white teas. That's kind of the rule of thumb. I like green because it's kind of medium of the road. Next, you're going to want 1 cup of actual white sugar. I mean, you can use organic, but everybody that's into kombucha says this is one time it is okay to use processed white sugar, because this is not for you, folks. This is not for you. This is for your SCOBY and your kombucha to eat. So when your kombucha tea is finished, this won't be in it. This is its food, not yours. So go ahead, splurge, and get the regular processed white sugar. Don't use honey. Don't use agave. This is not a time to try and use the healthy stuff. You want the processed white sugar. If you have organic granulated sugar, by all means use it. That's fine. But don't use like honey or agave. Your SCOBY and your kombucha needs this to grow. So first thing we're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to start boiling some water, your distilled water, and then after it gets boiling, you're going to open up your tea bags and you're going to steep them for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Just throw them in there, and when they're done, of course you're going to turn the burner off and just take them off the burner and let them set for 10 minutes. Your SCOBY and your kombucha are both very, very sensitive to heat. You will kill it if you try to put it in hot water or hot tea. So steep your tea bags for 10 minutes until that tea gets down to room touch temperature. Think of it as a baby. You don't want to stick a baby in hot water. Anyway, so as soon as I'm done with that, we'll come back and we'll see where we're going with this. And I guarantee you're going to love it. Okay, so we've let our tea steep. It's still very hot, as you can tell. I mean, you can see the steam coming off of it. So it's not ready to actually have the SCOBY put in yet, but what we are ready to do is I've got my jug mostly filled up with my distilled water. And I'm going to go ahead and just dump this in. And dump and dump and dump. And I'm not going to put my bags in. But now that cold water that was already in the jug, guess what? It's making it a nice room temperature for your SCOBY. And I have freshly washed hands in vinegar, not soap, okay? Because a lot of soap is antibacterial, and guess what? Not good for your SCOBY. So it's pretty lukewarm. See, and your SCOBY likes between 75 and 80 Fahrenheit. So we can go ahead and do this now, because I had so much cold water already in there. So what do? First thing we do is we put our sugar in and let that go in, and we're going to grab a spoon. And I apologize for the quality of this video. I will try to do a better one when I have somebody here to help me to do the filming. So you're just going to stir that up real good. And while I'm doing that, one thing I did want to mention, I'm notorious for forgetting like when I do something. So I put a label on my, it says kombucha and the date that I make it. And because it takes about 10 days for this to ferment, because this is a fermented drink. So we've got our sugar stirred up now. And now we're going to come over here. Now I should have had all this in one area, and I apologize. And we're going to get the beloved SCOBY. And believe me, you will start to treat your SCOBY as a child because it takes so long to make one. I think by the time I finished making mine, I started in January, and this is March 20th. So, and I mean, it's a nice thick one. I could have stopped earlier, probably, but I wanted a nice thick one. So, because I'd never made my own SCOBY before. So you're going to take your SCOBY, and they are slippery. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand. And you're going to set it in your tea. And it should float, but if it doesn't, it's okay. That's not a problem, because once the fermentation starts, it will rise to the top. Pour your leftover juice in there. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to obviously walk again, and I apologize. And this is actually some of the SCOBY juices, the leftover tea from the last time. And we're going to dump that in, because what that will do is that will give that a really good head start, because it's got all the bacteria already in it. And see, mine dropped, but like I said, it's not a big deal if it goes down there, because it will rise back up to the top. Next thing you're going to want to do, because fruit flies love this stuff, is you're going to want to take something and cover it up. So what I use is I just simply have an old clean towel that I've folded in half, and I put it over the top. And I'm sorry guys, I am going to have to set the camera down for this part, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rubber band and I'm going to put it around the rim to hold the towel in place. So give me 1 second, and I'll have that on. So there, not a big deal. See, you just go right around the rim with it. And then the next thing you do is you're going to want to put this in a nice dark place that will not be disturbed for about 10 days. And at that time you can start tasting it, and until it gets to the flavor level that you prefer. Because some people like it more bitter, some people like it right when it's starting to ferment. When you first start out drinking kombucha, I will tell you, it tastes a lot like drinking apple cider vinegar. So if you ever want to know what kombucha tastes like, you can go to like Hy-Vee carries them, and a lot of the natural health food stores carry the little bottles. They're like soda bottle size, and they're like $4 to $5 each. I can make this 1 gallon for $1. So that's why I choose to make my own. Plus I know what's going into it. I know everything that's going into it is healthy, and I'm not getting a lot of preservatives or chemicals or anything like that. So anyway, but be aware, when you go to drink kombucha, it tastes like apple cider vinegar until you develop your taste for it. Now, why do we drink it? Well, there are so many benefits to kombucha. It has all the healthy bacteria and yeast that your body craves, that through processing and chemicalization of our foods we have destroyed in our bodies. And that's why we have so much illness nowadays compared to what our forefathers and mothers had. This reestablishes your digestive system. Some people swear it grows hair. For those men who are losing their hair, I don't know. That's what they say. It really helps with like asthma. Hubby has asthma, and I have COPD. Since we started using this stuff and making our own yeast breads out of homemade yeast, we haven't had near the problems that we did before. So, Google eating and drinking of fermented foods. You will be amazed at all the different benefits that there is out there. When you go to drink this stuff, though, like I said, it's bitter until you develop your taste for it. It's going to be very, very fizzy, also like a soda pop. So be prepared that when this is done, you're going to need some kind of a glass bottle with a tight fitting lid to go on it. I just use mason jars. That's just what I do. They do sell what looks like the old-fashioned soda bottles with the lid that goes on it and then the metal clasp that goes over the top. Those are wonderful. I don't want to spend the money. I'm cheap. Anyway, so I use mason jars with a nice fitting lid. Put it in the refrigerator. It lasts, if I can keep us out of it, for about a week or so. But until you develop your flavor desire for it, cut it with fruit juice. I take mine and I put it with orange juice or apple juice. And as long as you're drinking about 8 ounces of it a day, you're getting all those benefits. So it doesn't have to be straight. Now, once you do start getting to where you really enjoy the flavor of it, then pour it over ice and drink it instead of soda pop. A lot of people say you can cook with it, but I don't agree with that. That's me personally. I do not agree with that, simply because it's a live bacteria and yeast. So if you're using it wherever it calls for vinegar in any kind of a cooked product, you're going to kill it because it can't handle heat. Now, if you're using it in something that's not going to be cooked, go for it. It'll work. But if you're using it in place of vinegar in any kind of a recipe that's going to be cooked, you're not going to get the benefits. You'll get the flavor, but you won't get the benefits of the kombucha. So anyway, I hope this helps. Probably about another 10 days, I'll go ahead and I'll do another video and put it on my blog so that you guys can see what it looks like when I bottle it. Because I do some different things. I take pieces of fruit, I put it in my mason jar, I pour this over it, and I add like 100% fruit juice to it to cut down on that bitterness because I'm still trying to get David used to it. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to try to help, and I really hope you guys give kombucha a try. It's awesome. Thanks. Talk to you guys later. Bye.